Hi, I'm Lauren Edmonds. I'm the founder and owner of a school that supports children with learning delays. I'm hoping this space gives you something to think about. I want to talk a little bit about patience and what that really means when we're working with children from a parent's point of view and from a teacher's point of view. I think sometimes as adults, it can be in short supply for us because we are intentional and purpose-driven and goal-driven, and we've got things to do. We've got to get in the car and get to the shops. We've got to get our kids to bed so we can get on with work that we need to get done. At school, we need to get them into class so we can get on with the maths lesson. And all of that is very squarely sits in the goal scope of the adult. The adult wants the child in the class so we can get on with maths. The adult wants the kid sitting still so we can do the homework. The adult wants the kid in the car so we can get to school. And all of this is very adult driven and adult purpose goal driven. And I think one of the biggest gifts we can give a child who is struggling is to drop the goal and the purpose for a little bit and just breathe into the moment and see what we see. Observation skills without judgment is critical in my business. When we are working with children on the autism spectrum, with anxiety, with ADHD, who are presenting as nonverbal, if we are trying to work with the child on our timeline and with our goals and our daily demands that we think are important, we're going to create more anxiety, more shutdown, more dysregulation. So what we need to do is let go of the in-the-moment desire to get something done, like get them in the class, get the book open, get them doing maths. That's something for a neurotypical child or a higher functioning child that is able to follow those guidelines, is able to get into class, sit at their desk, open their book and get on with their maths. But if they're unable to do it, the demand on them to do it shuts them down even more. And that would be the same with a child on the spectrum that's non-speaking. The higher the demand we place on the child in the moment, the more we shut them down. Now, it doesn't mean we shouldn't have goals and we shouldn't have demand, but we should be responsive to what how they are responding to us. And then we need to respond to that. What is our ultimate goal, as well as what is our goal in the moment? And if our ultimate goal with a child on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum that is non-speaking at the moment, if our ultimate goal is to give him a communication system, preferably we might have the goal to have him have a verbal communication system, then we need to know that's an ultimate goal, not necessarily a today goal. Though we could drive it for today, but not to break them down ultimately and then lose the long-term goal that we have. So being responsive to children is how we bring them into our circle of trust, how we bring them into our circle of learning and give them an opportunity to find those skills. Something that changed my understanding of this forever is when I had a better understanding of praxis. And this is our body's ability to take an idea and turn it into motor movement or any kind of movement. So if you wanted to go swim in your swimming pool, you would have the idea of, I'm hot, I need to go swim. You would change into your costume, get a towel, go outside, get in the pool. That's praxis in action. The same thing with mathematics. You have this idea of, I'm going to go into class and do maths. That's an idea. You turn it into walking into class, getting to your desk, opening your book, sitting down and doing the maths. That is praxis. Now, what happens if your praxis is not in place? What happens if you have dyspraxia? You can't turn your thoughts into something that makes sense for you to take action. Your body just doesn't respond. Same thing with oral praxis and speaking. I have this idea, I have all this vocabulary in my head, and I want to get it out, I want to communicate it with you, but my brain cannot move my mouth in order to form the words. I can't move my throat, can't move my tongue, can't move my lips, because actually speaking is a very complicated thing. If you try to learn to whistle and you've never whistled before, it's a difficult thing to figure out where to put your tongue, how to blow the air. That's a really good example for people who are speaking to try and figure out how non-speaking kids can't speak. So the work we're doing at Amatis is to develop ideation into action. So that's the praxis component, to ignite the thought from the child's brain into movement. So there's a lot of mind reading that happens from our side. Is we're looking at their gaze, we're looking at where their shoulders are turned to or turned away from, where they're leaning towards. We're guessing a lot of the time. Are they hot? It's hot outside. They could be hot. They could be thirsty. They could be hungry. They haven't been to the toilet in a while. That could be something that they're wanting to do. And then to start asking questions like, are you hot? Can I help you take your jersey off? And they could walk away, and then that could be a no. Do you need the bathroom? Can I come with you? Let's go. And then you walk towards the bathroom. You're always giving them these subtle clues or cues to get some motion going. And then as you get into the motion of now we're walking towards the bathroom, the body starts responding to what their thoughts were, and then they can carry on with the action. And the more we do that with kids, the more we get their body to respond to their thoughts, the more the praxis gets developed. And the same thing with speech. The more we get their mouth to move and respond to different things, the more that connection between thought and language can come. Now, it's far more complicated than that, because what is the receptive language and expressive language like? What is the vocabulary like? What is engagement like? Intention like? So there's a lot of components around helping a child to become more verbal and to have communication looping or conversation or connect socially. But it's something that you have to start where the child is at, not where you are at and not where your goals are at. You've got to start where they are sitting, where their starting point is. I always use this analogy. If you want a child to climb to the top of a hill, you climbing to the top and standing at the top and shouting at them while they're at the bottom, it doesn't help them if they can't figure out how to get to the top of the hill. You've got to go back down to the bottom and you've got to say, hey, I'm here with you. And then he's got a wheelbarrow to push up the hill. It doesn't help you grabbing the wheelbarrow and pushing it up to the top of the hill for him, and he's still at the bottom of the hill. The journey is him figuring out how to climb the hill. And your job is to help him to figure it out, not to do it for him. So if we shift this to more neurotypical children who are verbal, who are in a mainstream school, what's the best gift we can give a child? It's not doing it for them. It's helping them to figure out how to do it for themselves. A difficult math sum, a hard text to read, a difficult move in a hockey tournament, a new position on a netball field or a soccer field, something that's new for them. How do we think about what they're experiencing and then move with them from that point, building their confidence and their skills, not us doing it, but helping them to figure it out in their bodies. You know, if you've never played the violin before, you need to start from the beginning. Where do I put my hands? Where does it go? You can't give them a difficult piece to play right in the beginning. You've got to give them a chance to process. And the same happens with children on the spectrum that are non-speaking. Give them multiple opportunities to hear language, to hear communication, the space to respond back, to hear their communication when it's not verbal, body language, behaviors, expression, noises, eye contact, or lack of eye contact. What are they communicating with us? Because communication is happening on a constant basis. We need to be listening. And if we think communication is just verbal and nothing else is communication, then we're not speaking their language. And if we can't speak their language, how do we get them to speak our language, which is verbal? So the journey is interesting and gentle, and it takes a while, and it takes multiple communication partners to be kind and generous and encouraging, because if we're not, and we create anxiety and stress and anxiety shut it down. And we don't want to shut it down. We want to help it to blossom, and our impatience can really get in the way, and our drive towards our timeline of goals can really get in the way. So if we can slow down, meet the child where they're at, and encourage and build, and be really observant, and understand that they're communicating with you all the time, even in bad behaviors, that is strong communication. If we can interpret that and be gracious and kind with that, we can develop almost any child to the next step, and we can get more or get further than perhaps we ever thought we could get. So this might not apply to everybody, because a lot of you listening don't have children on the spectrum who are nonverbal, but you're going to encounter children like this. And can you be gracious and kind, or are you high demand and put pressure on? And this is a really tricky space for an adult to be, because we are so goal-driven, but it's so necessary. I hope this is an interesting recording for you.